Hear me now? Hear me now? Yes. I'm not wearing my headphones. um, yeah, all of the gang's all here. Padma, Druid, Robin, Eva. Happy Monday. So, honey, oh my gosh, how are you? Jill is visiting you or has visited you, I heard through the grapevine. I think I saw a picture of a pile of quilts in the back of your car, so honey. Hi, Kellen. Oh, this morning. Well, hopefully you unloaded a bunch of quilts on her. I know she's traveling all around for this 13. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, she I think she texted me yesterday morning. I can't remember. She was heading out and I know it was raining. We had that tropical storm on the East Coast, so I don't know if it came as far inland as you, so honey, because I know you're a little bit farther inland than I am, but yeah, that's so awesome. Well, I'll see Jill day after tomorrow, I guess. So, oh, that's good. That's good that you didn't get hit with any bad weather. Um, yeah, so I'll have to check out what she got. She's, for those of you that don't know, I don't know if she's mentioned it a whole lot, but she's kind of turned her trip to seminar into like a seminar slash buying trip sort of thing. Because she likes to get down here, like around Pennsylvania, and I don't know, not so much Maryland, but I think she's going to spend some time in Pennsylvania before and maybe after seminar. Anyway, she's as a collector and dealer, she's getting her search hat on, and she's amazing. Because I'm like, oh no, you didn't photograph. Oh, also, oh my gosh, so honey, 30. Girl, you got a collection. I don't know. I should talk. I've never counted mine. I don't know how many I have. Yeah, I'll have to take some pictures of what Jill has. Oh, that's awesome. So this weekend was so freaking awesome, you guys. If you were not at the Quilt Nerd show on Saturday night, first of all, I heard there was an issue with audio. I don't know what is happening. We had this kind of issue in the past, and I don't know what's cropping up. So I'm actually gonna see Mary, of course, this week. So I'm gonna try to troubleshoot, see if we can troubleshoot for her and make sure this like stops happening. I don't know what it is, but my birthday was so cool. And if you missed the celebration on Saturday, I'm so sorry because of the audio issue, but it was so awesome. And all I can say is I continue to be absolutely gobsmacked by the generosity of quilt nerds. And I mean, I seriously had my Sally Field moment where I was like, you like me, you really, really like me. I just, like, seriously, nobody's ever really done something like that for me. So I know Mary coordinated you guys, and you guys are just so, so cool. So, today is going to be a bit of a short stream. I'll tell you about the cookies in a minute. It's going to sort of be a little bit of a show and tell. I'm going to show you guys two things that are reserved for seminar, but I'm going to show them to you guys today. And hopefully one of them absolutely rocks your world, and you guys will know that I'm thinking about you during seminar, particularly during my lecture. So when I show you what I have to show you. Is my stream frozen? What in the heck? All right, there we go. So the birthday cookies. There is a place called Crumble. It's CRUMBLE, or BL, just BL, Crumble, CRUMBL. And I feel like I read somewhere that they started like in some college area where people could just like order cookie delivery. Oh, you've had them, Robin? I guess they're nationwide. But anyway, every week they have a different menu of like 6 cookies, and they always have either chocolate chip or chocolate chunk, like a basic one. Yeah, there's the website. Thank you, Eva. They and you go and you pick, like, whatever you want. Oh, Robin on order every week. They're expensive. I mean, they're worth it. We did it for my birthday. I think we did it for Father's Day or my husband's birthday back in, I think it was my husband's birthday back in May. And then last year for my son's birthday, he wanted them. But anyway, they have this, like, it's a changing menu every week. And we always get like one of everything unless something sounds super gross. And honestly, nothing ever sounds super gross. So this week's, what they got, yeah, we do that too. Like, we cut them. They're about that big, like not quite as big as my face, but pretty close. And they are usually like a sugar cookie or like a snickerdoodle or oh, thank you so much, Ellerhold. You are so sweet. Anyway, and then they pile toppings on. And so, like, when you go in there and you're like, give me a dozen or give me a half dozen, one of everything, then you got to wait because they take the cookies that have just been baked and then they decorate them. So, okay, so you don't have them, Eva, but, yeah, I'm sure there's got to be something close to the border that you could go down for. But yeah, so the cookies this past week were, there was one called guava. This was just guava something, and it was this like pink icing on this sugar cookie, and it tasted tropical. It tasted like guava. And then there was a chocolate chunk one, and then I don't know if you guys have ever heard of guava paste for lunch. What do you do with it, Word Bird Nerd? Like, you spread it on something, or is it like mixed into something? I've heard of guava paste. I don't know what you do with it. So anyway, there was the chocolate chunk cookie, and then I don't know if you know, cream cheese and a sandwich. I see. Okay. Las Becca, hi. And I didn't say hi, Word and Bird Nerd. It's nice to see you. I'll see you in a few days. So anyway, and then I don't know if you guys have ever heard of like Monster granola, like trail mix. It's usually like M&Ms and peanuts and I don't know what else, because I don't eat it because I'm allergic to peanuts. But my husband went ahead and got one of those cookies. So it was like a chocolate chip cookie, but it was the Monster mix, so that he and my son could enjoy it without me. And then there was, I think, a New York cheesecake cookie, which had like I don't know what the bottom of it was. It was like a graham cracker cookie, sort of. And then it had like a cream cheese frosting and then like a sprinkle of graham cracker. And then there was a brown sugar cinnamon Pop-Tart cookie, which actually had like, when you cut it open, there was a layer inside. And then, what was the other one? Was that all of them? I'm trying to think what was in the box. I think that was all of them. So, yeah. Oh, okay. Manchego cheese on crackers. Okay, so guava paste is kind of like one of those things like quince jelly, or sort of you add it to like on a charcuterie board. I love a charcuterie board. So good. I could see that being delicious. So anyway, yeah, the cookies were butternut squash pasta. You guys are making me hungry. And I ate lunch before this. But yeah, the cookies were pretty awesome. I don't know if my mom was talking about baking something for my birthday. I will see her tomorrow. She's coming to seminar, so I'm gonna go drive down to her house. She lives about 2 hours away, and then pick her up, and we're gonna drive about 4 hours, and then on Wednesday do the rest of the trip. So it's about 9 hours for us, either from my house or from her house. So I'm tacking on a little bit of extra to go down to her instead of her coming up to me. So anyway, it'll be a journey. Yeah, so let's see. Oh, what else did yes, Padma, you do. Okay, yes, Eva, that's a good question, and let me say that at the top of the show, in case people fall off before the end. So there's not going to be any Quilt Nerd scheduled this week. So nothing tomorrow night, and then nothing on Saturday night. And then I will not be streaming on Thursday afternoon like I normally do, because I mean, we've just got like all of these activities. But Mary does want to do some pop ups, and I'm going to try to do pop ups. It might literally be like, oh, shoot, Robin, do we have one tonight? Oh my God. Did we move it to tonight? That is right. You guys are correct. So yeah, there's going to be a short something tonight. Good to know. I have it all together, don't you? But yeah, so nothing tomorrow night. It'll be a little short pop up tonight. But yeah, Mary's gonna try to do some pop ups. I think she's identified like maybe a couple of times that she's gonna she's hoping to be able to let you guys know. And I think Robin is gonna stay alert to put something on the Discord, if she's able to schedule something. I will probably be a little bit more off the cuff, and like I said, you know, it might have to be something from my hotel room. But yeah, Mary, she definitely can't stream tomorrow because she's traveling. I think it's a travel day for her. So okay, so Thursday and Friday. Yeah, I know I definitely will not be there Thursday because I'm doing a thing at Locust Grove, which is one of the historic sites in Kentucky, in Louisville, or around Louisville. So yeah, we have like a super packed week. I was counting the days. I'm literally gone from home for an entire 7 straight days. It's been a while. You know, I used to travel a lot. I was thinking this morning, I'm like, I haven't really packed yet, which is why I need to make this short. You know, I hadn't packed yet. And at one time, I traveled a lot for work. Like, literally every week I was traveling. So, like, I had my go bag. Like, I had a whole separate set of toiletries I could just grab and go. And I don't have that anymore because, you know, there was the pandemic, obviously. But then before that, I had kind of, probably for 4 or 5 years, I had sort of lessened the amount I was traveling. So anyway, I'm trying to think today, like, what are all the things I need to bring? Because I know I tend to have a problem forgetting like one important thing when I travel if I don't have my go bag ready. And let's see, last time it was my makeup. I didn't bring any makeup with me. Another time it was underwear. I totally forgot to pack like a bra and underwear. So luckily I was wearing a bra, but I ended up having to run to the store and buy a pack of cheap underwear. And then another time it was like the outfit I was going to wear for something. I'm pretty sure that if my head wasn't firmly attached, I'd leave it at home. So, with that in mind, I am going to, since I'm not going to read today. I'm just going to do, if I have my speech and my ID, I'll be fine. Yeah. I'm standing up there in my pajamas. Sorry guys, I forgot everything. But I thought I haven't done a Notion in a while, so I pulled a few little things out of my collection that I thought would be appropriate for the fact that I'm trying to prepare and pack. And I, you know, like I said, I always worry about, well, should I pack light, or, you know, if when I'm flying, I pack light. If I have to do like the train or the plane, I try and pack light because I hate to lug. Yes, it was lucky. But since I'm driving, I know I can be a little bit more like throw full-sized containers into my toiletry bag, and I could pack extra just in case, you know. But I always worry about things. I'm like, should I bring some, you know, like I probably won't have a headache, but should I bring some Advil, you know? I'm sure I'm not gonna like get a bump or a bruise, or a fever, but should I bring Tylenol? Like, what about Band-Aids? Do I have any Band-Aids in my purse? So yeah, I'm like always trying to, you know, everything in the kitchen sink if possible, because you can never be too prepared. So with that in mind, I have a small collection of sewing kits, and my favorite ones are the military ones. So I pulled out my military sewing kits today to show you. And, oh, thank you, Robin. Okay, so yeah, Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, that's right. She's going to do the silent auction. She's going to walk around and show you guys there. And then she's going to catch up Friday morning. I'll try to come to the Friday morning one depending on where she's doing it, because my lecture isn't until 2. Yeah. Yeah. It's, a go bag is good to have, like, especially if, you every now and then find yourself going somewhere. It's good to have, the things all ready to go. Because there's, I just live in fear of, like, going somewhere, being stuck, and, like, whatever, not having, like, allergy medicine if I have, get into an allergy attack, or not having Advil if I get a headache, those things. Never leave your hobbit hole. I like my hobbit hole too. So some cute little things. So these are, and I say cute, my gosh, they're military. But they're cute little military sewing kits. And these are kind of based on, if you've ever heard of a housewife or a huswife. Huswife is HUSWIF. Basically means housewife. And it's a little sewing kit or a little sewing roll. And I didn't grab the book. But my friend Dawn actually has written a book about sewing rolls and things like that. Let's see if I can find her. She's known as Collector with a Needle. And let's see, let me find her. She has this fantastic book called Sewing Rolls, Needle Rolls, and Huswifts. So let me send you guys the link to that. And my mom bought it for me for my birthday, but I went ahead and took it. I took it earlier. Let's see. I'll put it in the chat. So I have actually previewed it. But that's her Etsy shop, and her book is there. Anyway, so if you aren't familiar with what a huswife is or a housewife, it's just basically a sewing roll. And the ones that Dawn has in her book are like the antique ones. Essentially, it folded up. It could have little pockets in it, little little needle pages, that kind of thing. And probably most like this one. This one is actually a Red Cross. Oh, come on. You can see it's got the little Red Cross label. And it's from Hancock County, Maine chapter of the Red Cross. And so this one actually came empty except for a safety pin. But oh gosh, did I miss something? What happened? Oh, Eller Hold, you subscribed. Holy cow, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, you guys. Love you bunches. Thank you so much. I know it. A Quilt Nerd, when somebody subscribes, Mary does the whole, this is what you get. At this point, oh yes, Les Wecca, you spent some bits. Thank you. I forgot. Those are an awesome way to throw some love at your streamer. But I know Mary always tells you what you get for your subscription. At this time, all that you get for your subscription is this beautiful face. I have been derelict about getting anything set up in the channel, and I will. That is my big plan when I come back from seminar, is to like get this set up so you'll have cute little emotes and all that stuff. And yeah, you won't be subscribing to just like being able to look at my face twice a week. There will also be fun. So anyway, so this is the little sewing roll, and like there's a pocket here so you can put stuff in there, and then all your pins and needles. And oh, thank you, Jared. Yeah, so honey, so Kenny streams. He's been a streamer much longer than any of us, but he has set up a regular schedule, and so he streams on Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern. And for that one, he does quilting stuff. Like, he's actually, shows what he's working on, and kind of does little tutorials and stuff. And then Wednesday nights, he typically has been streaming, but I think he's also done a few pop-ups. So Um, Las Vegas, yeah. There's still so many things about Twitch that I'm still trying to figure out. So, and Eva and Druid have been a huge help. And then I just learned things from, that Mary runs into and all that. So, and I appreciate you guys, first of all, having patience. And second of all, just rolling with the punches. So, like I said, there was really nothing in here other than the safety pin, but also there was this thing. And I looked this thing up, and let's see. I actually found a stationery store that sold these things, and it's Russell Perfect binding straps. And this was literally just a 36-inch thing for binding, and it's got a little pull tab like to make it. Isn't that cute? It's so fabulous. And then it would just hook there, and the best I can think of, these are like, those straps that you would like, those ratchet straps you put stuff on your car with. It's like the best I can think of. But apparently just for holding your stacks of whatnot together, they issued these things. So that was a kind of a cute, neat little thing. Like I said, you never know what you're going to find in sewing kits, especially when it's a weird little sewing kit like that. Yes, it is. It's a yard long. It's perfect. So, and I love that they have the little tape straps to tie it up. Now this one is really interesting, and it's not in great shape, but it should have a little medallion here. And you could kind of still see, if you look really closely, I don't know if it's going to show up on the camera. It was definitely an eagle. So, probably U.S. Army, maybe. But it's like a box, and it has a little flap that pops open. And in here are the olive drab and khaki sewing spools. And inside the little thing, there's buttons. So like a bunch of different, like brown buttons, and looks like some shirt buttons. Just sort of a variety. And, the cellophane is punched open, so I don't know. Those things could be, they might have come with the kit, they might not. But yeah, I mean, look, you got your khaki, or your olive drab, I mean. You've got your light khaki. You've got your dark khaki. So kind of a cool thing. But, and there's a little spot for like a pin or a needle. It's like a little wool patch. So what's really neat about this one is this is actually issued by, is it Belding Corticelli? And Corticelli, if you look them up, they were and I think they're still around. They might be owned by a different company now, but Corticelli was a thread producer. They're like an Italian thread company. And if you've ever gotten those little, they're like a little flat wooden spool that has buttonhole twist silk. Those are usually Corticelli, often, because they were pretty popular thread company. Like I said, I'm pretty sure you can still get things from them, but it's not something you're going to find in your average, like, Joanne doesn't sell it, let's put it that way. Now, two of my other little kits, let's see, what did I just do with one? Here we go. These two, my darling husband got me, and he knows that I collect these, and I think they're cool. I actually have I think it's a Girl Scout one somewhere. I couldn't find it. It must not be it must be packed away somewhere else. But he got these from a surplus store. This one is, I'm pretty certain, is not the original stuff that came in it. It's also a little grubby, so I'm like, oh, I think this is used. But one of these, I think this is the Italian one. This is the Italian army or Italian military. This one's supposed to be French military. But I'm not 100% positive. So look at that awesome this is like the worst thimble I could ever think of. You definitely would have to like take a pair of pliers and smash that to get it to stay on your finger, because it's very shallow and does not fit a finger. And then there's this, what on earth could be in this plastic bag? Oh, it is all of the little buttons and supplies. So we have got in here, this is the part I love. Can you see these scissors? They actually look reasonably sharp, but still, like, I feel like you could probably cut thread better with a knife than these cruddy blunt scissors. And then there's a, it has definitely been used, because this packet of needles. And these are big needles. I'm like, this is not for sewing a shirt button on. That's for like sewing a rip in your tent. So, yeah, these places that sell surplus, you like never know what you're gonna get. Yes, they are definitely like kindergarten scissors. I feel like they probably, I don't know, sometimes military stuff seems to be like cutting edge, and then sometimes like I feel like some of this military stuff is like, oh, yeah, sewing a strap on your backpack. I feel like, yeah, some of this military stuff, it's like they picked the cheapest or whatever. And what else is in here? So we've got, I don't know if I showed you well enough, but it's this is just like two little pockets. It's just like a little, and then we've got two different hues of the camouflage military colors. And then we've got some white and black. And these are on these cute little winding things. And then, because, you know, as you do, you've got to mend your socks. So there's sock mending yarn. And like I said, this stuff is clearly used. Like, it's, hopefully it served somebody well. The Italian one is a lot newer and obviously not used. And so it was actually kind of a nice little pouch. So you see it opens up like so. And this one has white and khaki thread. Some fancy dress buttons. I think this is the only one that has those. And of course, they don't, yeah, they do match. But yeah, I don't, the insignia, I guess, is whatever that military insignia. And then, you know, you've got your random military uniform buttons. And then there's this little secret pocket in here that unzips a zipper. Yeah. And this is a much better pair of scissors. These actually look like manicure scissors, but you know, they've got the curved, but they do look sharp and they're pointy so that you could get right in there and snip something. And there is a packet of needles. So those are some fun little military sewing kits. So now I know replacement buttons for formal uniform. And you know, it's funny, I end up finding this military stuff when, you know, I've bought sewing baskets and stuff. Like surgical scissors. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, Padma, I need to do that. I need to get a good picture of it because it's, you know, so it's hard to get, you know, my husband can probably take a picture of it for me so that there's no glare, you know, and then I can do a Google search. So those are the little kits. And but what I was going to say is finding these, military items in sewing baskets, and I think, like, how many moms and wives, um, just ended up with these things in their sewing baskets just because their sons, husbands, nephews, whoever, in these days, daughters, nieces, granddaughters, whatever, coming back from active duty, and just having these kinds of things, and then they end up, in the sewing materials. I have a whole set of, actually 2 full sets of Marine Corps buttons, and at first I was like, oh my god. Apparently they're pretty inexpensive to buy, and anybody can buy them, which I thought was weird. I thought, you should be able to have, like, I don't know, like your military ID. Like, I don't know, however they do that. Like, that you might have to have some type of permission to buy those. But anyway, I do have one other item, and I pulled this out because I saw it and I was like, oh, maybe you guys will have some ideas about this. It happened to be stacked in with my little sewing kits, but it's this. It's this little thing. And it is Ideal Sewing Companion. I think it's WR and WM Good, Toledo, Ohio, I think. It's a little difficult to see. I could probably take a photo of it and change the brightness and get a better idea if I have the name right. But there's 2 little tools in here. And the one tool, I'm pretty sure, is a seam ripper. Or, if you're going to be in a fight in an alley and you want to, like, cut somebody's face. I mean, this thing is terrifying. Hi, Kenny. But yeah, there is literally a blade set in there. And I don't know if you can replace it or not. I don't think you can. I don't know. I feel like this thing should come open, but it doesn't. Anyway, so there's that. And that makes sense to me. That's like a seam ripper. But the other thing in here, put this back so I don't hurt myself. All right, you go in there. The other thing is this. And you see? It's like this kind of hook, pointy hook thing. Hi, Mod Art Quilt. How are you? But can you see? It's got, like, it's hollow, kind of. You see? I'm assuming it's an awl. So, anyway, this was my I don't know, mystery item. And again, it says Sewing Companion. So we've got, what I'm positive is the razor seam ripper, and then this thing. It looks like a dental pick, to be honest, but it's like hollow. It's, like a folded piece of metal. So. Thank you guys for the Twitch tutorials. These are things that I know about, but never remember to tell people because I'm really bad at that. So I'm glad you guys remember these things. So, okay. So do you guys want to see some wonderful, wonderful things for my my lecture? I'll show you the first thing. I had showed this to Mary, and so one of the women that Dr. Dunton was friendly with, and she lived in Washington, D.C., so, Robin, maybe, but I don't understand why it's maybe it's like just a multi-use pick because it's like a folded piece of metal that comes down to that point. So I'm thinking maybe it's like an awl / pick / I don't know. Anyway, so this woman, her name was Elizabeth Lewis, and in a lot of things that I found about her, it says it'll say Mrs. Fulton Lewis Sr., but her name is Elizabeth, and she went by Bessie. Although there is some place I saw her referred to as Effie, and I'm absolutely positive they were referring to her. So I don't know if that was a mistake or if maybe people called her Effie as well, but it definitely Bessie. Um, and she was a society woman. Her husband, Fulton Lewis Sr., was an attorney, which I think probably in Washington, D.C. would translate to probably politician slash lobbyist attorney. I feel like anybody, I mean, an attorney obviously can be very, well off and have a good practice, but I feel like when they're in places that are very, like there's some specific industry or thing there, they're typically attached to that thing. So, yeah, I'm positive he had something to do with politics. I couldn't find anything specific other than the fact that he was an attorney and they had a lot of money. Her son, one of her sons, Fulton Lewis Jr., was actually a pretty well-known radio broadcaster. And I don't know if he ended up being on TV or not. This is like in the 30s. So, I'm trying to picture, I think he was not a young man in the 30s. So he might have been middle-aged in the 30s. So I don't know if her son ever made it to TV or not. But anyway, he was a broadcaster. So whenever you look up Fulton Lewis, like you find him first for, whatever reason. And then you find her. And then her husband, the senior Fulton Lewis, I really had to dig to find out what he did. But anyway, long story short, she was a textile collector. So not just quilts. She had a collection of quilts. But she also collected, vintage textiles, but also textiles from around the world. As I'm getting ready to show you a picture. And she was involved in, social, like I said, she's a socialite. She was involved in, these social things in D.C., one was called the Bal Bohème, which I had never heard of, but apparently and I haven't had a chance to look into the history of it, but it's definitely something put together by an arts organization in DC, and they definitely did it for a very long time. I've been finding pictures of it just as I've done really basic Googling. But if you want to look it up, it's Bal Bohème, B-A-L, another word, B-O-H-E-M-E, so Bal Bohème. She was the one who owned the Benjamin Rush quilt coverlet that Dr. Dunton reviewed, looked at, studied, and put in his book. And the funny thing is, he's related to Benjamin Rush. And I don't know, he definitely knew, he had to have known. There's no way he didn't know he was related to Benjamin Rush, but he didn't talk about it. And I'm really surprised he didn't mention it in the book. But what... he ended up losing this woman as his friend, and they were friends to the point he would visit her often, and they would have dinner, and there was this whole thing about how he would come there, eat fine dinners, drink their liqueur, and then insult her in his book. So what happened was she apparently most of her quilts were kind of everyday quilts. They were I'm sure they were beautiful, but they were nothing that exotic. But he picked the Benjamin Rush coverlet out of her collection and said, this is the one. This is the one I want to photograph. This is the one I want to study. And so his son, Henry, took pictures of it. And in the book, there's actually what's called a shadowgraph, which I thought was something exotic. It is not. Apparently, it's where if you have something that's translucent, semi-translucent, that you can shine light through, and it almost looks like, not quite like an X-ray or a radiograph, but you can see the dark lines of density. And in the case of this coverlet, they're large blocks, and they alternate. So it's a plain block and then a block that has pretty dense trapunto on it. And so in the shadowgraph, you can see the denseness of the trapunto. So it's like a flower, and so it's really cool. The shadowgraph would show this dense flower. So anyway, Bessie Lewis and her daughter were certain that at one time the Benjamin Rush coverlet in those empty blocks had applique. And it would make sense that would have been chintz applique. So, you know, it would be a block of chintz applique and then a block of this really dense trapunto and, you know, so on. And that makes sense to me. I mean, looking at it, these blank blocks, it's like something had to have been there. And Bessie was certain that they could still see some of the holes, like needle holes. And she was positive that there were some like minute bits of thread, like, you know, left over from whatever it was being cut off. And I think she even had done kind of like a rubbing or a pricking, and she thought she knew that it was this specific design. I don't know. I mean, who knows? Anyway, Dr. Dutton was always like, I can't see it. I don't see it. And so instead of just leaving it at that, he writes about it in his book. He says, you know, the owner of the quilt, and he doesn't name her by name, but if you look elsewhere in the book, like, I think the ownership is documented in the book. So it's like if you put two and two together, you could figure out, oh, this is Mrs. Fulton Lewis that he's not agreeing with. Anyway, he said, you know, my friend thinks she sees blah, blah, blah on this, the owner, my friend. I just don't see it. And, you know, maybe I'm blind. Maybe it's my conscience, but I don't see it, and I'm not going to say it was there. And it just gives her and I something to argue about. Well, she was scandalized. She was like, how dare you, you arrogant so-and-so. And apparently, like, I think never spoke to him again after she, you know, after he did this. And her daughter, Susan Lewis Cockerell, published with another Lewis. And I don't know if this was like a grandson or a nephew. It was a man with the last name Lewis. So Susan and this other Lewis relative published this little booklet called The Quilts of Bessie Lewis, or Bessie Lewis's Quilts, or something like that. And there is a copy of it at, I think it's the American History Museum, the National American History Museum, the Smithsonian. So again, after seminar, I can't think about this stuff until then, but after seminar, I have a plan to go down there and look at it so I can see. But basically, she does in this one little section outline, like, mother was devastated because, you know, Dr. Dutton was a jerk to her. So, wow, I've told you a very long story. This is Mrs. Bessie Lewis. And you can see she is wearing this fantastic outfit that she has obviously cobbled together from her textiles. And you can see, like, this large thing she's wearing has fringe over here. And it looks like it's just draped over her shoulders. And then whatever she's wearing here, I think may also be things like she's draped over herself and then belted. She also has these crazy, well, I don't want to say crazy, but like these very large necklaces. And hopefully you can see, there's at least, I think there's two. Yeah, there's two hamsas, which are the hand of Fatima. You're probably familiar with it. It's a sort of a hand shape that has an eye in the middle. And, you know, in the Middle East, you can find it in different places in the Middle East, and it's really about the evil eye. But different cultures within the Middle East would have different versions of it. And some have it without the hand. Sometimes it's just the eye. The date. This is a 1930, January 28th, 1930. This is a press photo, and it is an original. And I found it on eBay. And I was just doing some quick research. I was, again, trying to find out a few more things about her that I could mention. And I came across this photo, and I was like, that is definitely her. And, you know, then I'm looking, they have the little press information on the back of it. And I'm like, yeah, that is definitely her. But it says, leader of Society Ball in the Capitol, Mrs. Fulton Lewis, popular leader of Capitol Society, shown in the costume she will wear at the annual Bal Bohem Ball to be held in Washington, D.C. She is vice chairman of the ball. And then that, I guess, comes from the Social Register. So, yeah, it's, and these people, Oh gosh, and I apologize. I think it's called Coots Photography, Coots Photography. They just have all these old press photos. And so anyway, when I found it, it wasn't like the listing wasn't active, and I was like, oh no, it's sold. But I'm like, well, maybe I can still use the picture. So I wrote to them and I said, went through eBay message and said, I'm looking at this picture. This is why I want to use it. Could I use your picture? And they were like, of course you can use it. You don't have to credit us or anything. But the lady was like, but we didn't sell it. It's just the listing ran out. And she's like, I just haven't reposted it. And I was like, oh. And she said, I'm out of town now, but I will repost it when I get back. And if you want it, you can buy it. If not, you're welcome to use the listing photo. And I was like, ah. So, yeah, and it kind of would have been a little bit, I mean, I'm sure whatever press this is, Cleveland something, it would have been a little bit of a copyright infringement for me to use their photo, especially since it had their watermark like right across her face. So I was so glad that they got back in time from their trip and they were able to list it, and I bought it, and it just came in the mail on my birthday. So I was like, yay! But yeah, it's just so cool. And I don't know if you can really see the detail, but look at her shoes. Her shoes appear to me to be leopard spotted or somehow painted or something. I don't think they're fur, but they're definitely like a leopard spotted shoe. Anyway, she looks like a really cool lady. And a bit tight, yes. You can see the top of her foot like poofing out a bit. Us chonky gals, we got a problem with that sometimes, okay? All right. So the other thing I'll show you is I did finish my Dear Dr. Dutton quilt, my little quilt. And I'm going to take a picture of it this evening. Hopefully get some golden hour photos of it. So I'll put it on my Instagram. So if you want to check that later, you can see it in detail. But yeah, it was fun to make this, and I still, it's the kind of thing where I still might be putting some little details on it. I'm like, I could probably maybe I could use a little bit of neon pink there. So, but yeah, if I can back up a little bit so you can really see it. It's hard to show things on the camera when I can't see around it. So, yeah, that's gonna put that as the first slide in my show, my slideshow. I have one other thing to show you. I'm gonna save it for the end though. I want to show you another birthday present I got, and this one I highly recommend. Advanced. Oh, it's just practice. This book, Hi, Sue John. How are you? Oh my gosh. Nice to have you here. I didn't realize you were here. So this book, I got for my birthday. I know that this one came through Abe Books, but this book was printed this year. It was released this year, so it was pretty close to full price on Abe. Got a few bucks off. I felt bad because I'm like, I don't know if hi Angelina. Oh, you're not late. Oh, I hope your grandparents are doing okay. I know that you're spending time with them. But anyway, this book, I highly recommend it. If you like surface design, if you like printmaking, you will love this book. And it is Trailblazing Women Printmakers. But what this book is about are the Folly Cove designers. Now, I had never heard of them until about 3 or 4 months ago. I'm at the museum. And, Gamer Granny. Oh no! Sue John, can you refresh? Yeah, I hope you can refresh, Sue John. Okay. So this book, anyway, so the Folly Cove designers, guess who I learned about them from? I was at the Baltimore Museum of Art, and I'm flipping through Dr. Dunton's, I think it was the last or the second to last scrapbook he made. And there was a Life magazine article in, like, it was 1949 or 1951, whatever. Oh, Haptic and Hue podcast. Did they talk about them? I'm doing a bad job of following the chat. Oh yes, Haptic and Hue had an episode on them. Yep. So yeah, and I want to say that I saw the book with, it might have been Haptic and Hue. It came across my feeds at some point, and it showed a page from the book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I know that image. I saw that in Dr. Dunton's scrapbook. So Dr. Dunton had saved the original article about them. And apparently they made these amazing prints. And let me just show you one so that, I can really make the point how amazingly fantastic these things are. I think my favorite one is Virginia Burton's. It's called The Gossips. Of course, I'm not going to be able to find it fast. Here it is. So this one was one that was very popular, and it was called The Gossips. Yeah, so this is the book. Back a little bit. It's a Princeton Architectural Press book. And it really was just released like a couple months ago. So let me find another one. Their work is just amazing. So basically what happened was this, it was, Folly Cove is in Massachusetts. Oh, awesome, Word and Bird Nerd. Yeah. They, oh, this is one. Isn't that amazing? Hi, Plug Quilt. Yeah. So the story about them is, so Folly Cove was kind of already an artist community, and these women, by no means were they poor. They were pretty decent. Their husbands did stuff. So, they weren't necessarily poor, starving artists, but they all had interesting talents. And Virginia Lee Burton was her married name. It's like Demetrios, I think. Yeah, Demetrios. She kind of started the group, and the way it started, were they fishermen? Interesting. She started, she was a designer, and supposedly she offered to exchange design and drawing lessons in exchange for one of the other women, one of her neighbors, teaching her children violin. They think it was violin. Elena Sarney is the person who wrote the book. Yeah, Plug Quilt. It is. Just the pictures are so beautiful, and some of them are lost prints. Some of them have never been shown before. She was able to get her hands on stuff from the family, Virginia Lee Burton's family. But anyway, so she started by offering these design lessons, and then other women were interested, and so basically they started this little group, and eventually decided to make it juried, and they formalized everything. They set it up as a business. There was a barn on her property that they turned into their workshop. There's a picture of that in the beginning. Yeah, here it is. That's the barn where they did their sales. And it was juried. So these women would basically, they'd come to the design lessons, and they would have to do homework, and then they would create their designs, and they would have to submit them to be added into the group. And if they were accepted into the group, then, oh, this one I love. This one she called, this was Ano, oh, I can't remember her last name. A lot of the folks there were Finnish. They had, they were, from Finland, either directly from Finland, or they had Finland, they were culturally Finnish. They were like first generation. But their little topics that they drew were just so cute. They ended up getting contracts with Woodward and Lothrop, I believe, and a couple of other places. And most of what they did was fabric. They block printed on fabric. They made these fabulous like skirts, and I think there were some blouses, tablecloths, placemats, napkins, and then there was some stationery type stuff that got printed. And then, they did this, I think, until like 61 maybe. So this was like 1938 or 39 until 1961. And then, they kind of disbanded. Virginia Lee Burton, I can't remember if she passed away, I think. And they decided they didn't want to keep the thing going on. This is one of my favorites. It's the cat and her kittens. Yeah, that's right. It was after she died, right? Bernard. And they didn't want to keep it going, even though she probably would have wanted them to keep going. They decided they didn't want to. So anyway, they're just really brilliant designers, and you look at this stuff and you're like, even though some of this stuff has really truly been lost, like people just we're not aware of it for a very long time, you can still see, like, how somewhere along the line they definitely influenced people in some way. It's very, they look like woodcuts, because lino prints, linoleum prints tend to look like woodcuts. They're just a cheaper way of doing woodcuts. But their print shop was a professional, very nice professional print shop. Look at these pictures. They're just so beautiful. And like I said, they were juried. Like, you couldn't just come right out of the drawing class and say, like, I'm a Folly Cove designer now. You had to be juried in. So, but they're just so charming. Like, I can't quite put my finger on, like, why, other than the fact that they're just really well designed. But they just have all of this detail in them that is just like, oh, holy cow, you look at it again, and then you look at it like a third time, and you're like, oh my gosh, now I see these different things I didn't see before. This one's called Reducing, I think. Yeah, it's called Reducing. And so you see it's the woman doing, like, sort of calisthenics. But if you look really closely, it's a tape measure. There's a tape, that border is a tape measure. So, yeah, there's all of this cool stuff. So anyway, long story short, I highly recommend this book. If you like, just like eye candy or, printmakers and stuff. And it's such a fascinating story about them. They're just a really interesting bunch of ladies. And I've only read, into the book, like maybe half of it. There's just tons of information. So, highly recommend it. This is one of those. And I think it was, let's see, the cover price is $35 US. So, not cheap, but still very, it's not, at least it's not $50. That's what I was trying to say. And the author is Elena Sarny. And apparently she worked on this book for about 15 or 16 years. Yeah. Yes, Angelina, you have seen that book, Useful Work for Unskilled Women. That's the WPA book. Also a fantastic book. I found out about that book from Mary Kay Waldvogel because, she did, she and Barbara Brackman have done a bunch of stuff about, the Depression era. And I think it's sort of Mary Kay's like oeuvre. She does a lot of like the 1930s stuff. And so she did a really cool lecture about the WPA. And she has one of the quilts that's in that book, Unskilled Women's book. Well, I mean, if you've looked at a lot of stuff, you've seen it. But it's like a little kid's sailboat quilt. It's so cute. Oh, Las Weckett, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad you were able to drop in. And yeah, I'm probably not going to be here much longer, so you're not missing a whole lot. So I'll see you soon. So anyway, my book report there. I love books. I mean, and I know you guys do too. Oh, thank you, Eva. Yeah, it's I know it's on Amazon as well, but if you have the money, it's always nice to buy it directly from the source, because I don't know how that affects the. Well, I think directly from the printer probably gets the author better royalties than I feel like authors get when it's a traditionally published book. Authors get like pennies on the dollar for Amazon, so. And probably nothing for Abe, which I feel bad because the person who bought it for me was like, "Oh, I found it cheaper on Abe Books," and I was like, "Oh, but it's a new release." Anyway, so are you guys ready? You guys are gonna see something that nobody has seen before except my husband and my son, and which will be unveiled at seminar during my presentation. And I'm glad you're here, Angelina. I hope you have not left, because you're going to like this. In the evenings, I have been working on this dress. I'm wearing this turnip dress. It has got a little sash. It's a wrap dress. The pattern is by Colette Patterns. It is, let's see, the pattern is called Crepe, like C-R-E-P-E, Crepe. And I've made the pattern before, and it makes a really cute dress. It wraps around so it's got like, I have it pinned to stay on the thing, but it's like a wrap, so it's like on the back. MC John, I got this from our friends at Picking Daisies. Eva, if you can find their link, that'd be great. But our friends, our quilt nerd friends, Kay and Dee Dee, they are sisters, and they own a wonderful quilt shop in San Luis Obispo. And because my local quilt shops have like shut down, I consider them my local quilt shop, even though they're across the country. But they actually, after QuiltCon, yes, Word and Bird Nerd, a bunch of people, I think Jill, and I don't know if it was you, Word and Bird Nerd, or somebody at QuiltCon sent me pictures of it. I think Jill was the first, and I was like, I gotta have that fabric. And so Kay and Dee Dee ordered me a bolt. And so the Turnip of Hope little gift packs that I've been doing, they have a fat quarter of this fabric in them, but I reserved the vast majority for this fantastic dress. And it does take some yardage, because it's like you almost have two complete backs of it, because it laps over each other. But yes, I'm pretty proud of this. And I put a little strip of the lining down the middle because I really like the lining. I dyed it myself, and so I did it. It's ice dyed, the lining of it. It is technically reversible. The dress pattern is not meant to be reversible, but I made it and I stitched down all the facings on the inside, so technically it can be reversed. But I don't know. I'm not super like, I love ice dyed fabric. I just don't know if I necessarily want, my whole body in it. But yeah, I love ice dye. It is so much fun, and it's like you don't know what you're gonna get. So I will be sure to get photographs for you. Quilt Nerd Show. Hey. Hey, Mary. I'm just getting ready to actually to like wrap up here, but I'm showing the gang my outfit for my lecture, which is involves turnips and is fantastic, if I must say so myself. um, yeah, so I don't have the perfect pair of shoes for this dress. The pair I have is just gonna have to do, but yeah. Anyway, yes, it is Ruby Star Society. I believe it's Kim Kite, I think. Yes, there is a sash. It because it's a wrap dress. It's got this kind of long sash, and I just have it looped around to keep it from getting too wrinkly before. Yeah, yeah. You know, Eve, I thought about it. I have black Converse too, but I think I'm gonna go with I have a kind of Mary Jane sneakers. Yeah, I have like some they're vintage, like reproduction vintage shoes from the 40s. They're kind of like a little Oxford. So I think that's what I'm going to wear. Anyway. So you guys got to see it first. And Kathy and Padma, you will see it in real life. And so you can take pictures of it and post for everybody so they can see the whole thing. So yeah, you guys, that's I told you it was going to be a show and tell, sort of a potpourri of this and that. And yeah. Oh, thanks, Angelina. I had to, the turnip has always been like, it's like the turnip has been sitting on my shoulder, and yeah, the turnip has been sitting on my shoulder, telling me, like, whispering, like, you're gonna do great. And so I felt like I had to honor the turnip. So yeah, I am ready. I'm ready. It I still have to like hit my times. That's probably the thing I'm stressed out about the most, is hitting time. Because I do not like going to a presentation where, especially the long ones, where somebody shows you all these things and then time is up and they're like, oh, I only had like 15 more slides. Well, I'm not going to show you this. Click, 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 click. I hate that. Like, I feel like I got shortchanged. And so I don't want that to happen. And, initially when I first started putting the presentation together, I was concerned. I was like, oh gosh, I'm worried about filling 2 hours. Like, what if I get to like an hour and 15 minutes? I talk too fast, get to hour and 15 minutes and I'm like, I'm done, guys. Like, that's not good either. So it's important when you do presentations like this to kind of hit the times and make sure that there's enough time for questions, but people kind of feel like they got gypped if you don't. Oh, I think that's probably not a good word to use. Sorry. People feel like they were didn't get value for their money if they go to a 2-hour lecture and it only ends up being like an hour and 15. Yeah, that stinks. I'm not worried about being done early now. I told Mary the other day, I've run through my presentation. I've recorded myself, run through the presentation like 4 times now. And every time I've had to cut content because I'm like, okay, this content's got to come out. It's putting me over and it's not as important. I keep the important stuff. And I've cut content every time I've done my run through. So I have no problem filling 2 hours. I mean, honestly, you guys know, is there really ever any dead air when you come to hang out with me? I could talk nonstop forever. But it's going to be good. And I'm really excited about it. And I look forward to coming back and doing it for you guys, because I would like, I want to do it for you guys. I just want you to see, all my hard work, nothing else. But yeah, I want to share it with you because you guys have been there for me, even before I started streaming, over on the Quilt Nerd Show. You guys have always been so supportive and, just been my cheerleaders. So yeah. And you know what I could do for you guys? I could do one that will not have a time limit on it. So you guys could get like the 4-hour presentation. I feel like it would be so easy for me to just like go on forever. Okay, so Eva's gonna go have a cake break. Real cake. What kind of cake do you have in the fridge, Eva? Let me know before we're done. I've been wondering. My mom, I'm trying to think. I sent my mom something. I want to say it was like blondies or something. I'd sent her this recipe a couple weeks ago and I was like, oh my gosh, doesn't this sound good? And she's like, is that a hint? Is that what you want me to bake you for your birthday? I love a baked good. I may go by cake, but that doesn't mean that I don't love also pie and brownies and cookies and donuts and danishes, pastries, and okay, chocolate cake, chocolate frosting. Oh, you can never have too much frosting. I've been guilty. It's like talking dirty, isn't it, Kenny? I know in the past I have been that person that has made like a batch of buttercream frosting for a cake and then maybe sampling it too much and not having enough for the cake. Because buttercream frosting's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. My snack habits, they've gotten better and much better in the last few years, but yeah, it's definitely like desserts are my weakness for sure. Cakes were different sizes with frosting. You couldn't tell the 2-inch difference. So one cake was that thick and one cake was that thick, and the difference is just made up with frosting. That's definitely my style. Oh, and you guys, can you hear that ice? Can you hear it? I meant to say that right off the bat. I don't ever like to brag. I don't like boasting is just not my style. But y'all, I am at this moment better than you because I have this ice. This is the delicious chewy ice. So like I think I told you guys the other night on the Quilt Nerd show, we make what I call ghetto ice with the ice cube trays with the teeny ice in it, and it was such a hassle. I'd make it and I'd put it in a bag and put it in the freezer, and I would only use that ice if I was going to drink like fizzy water or whatever, or soda, So I would like save it. And I would also put like a couple of regular ice cubes in the bottom to like, so that space isn't wasted. This is iced tea, y'all. This is unsweetened iced tea. I never in the past have used chewy ice in unsweetened iced tea. It makes the iced tea just perfect. And I can't even tell you how luxurious this ice is. I keep thinking like luxury cars. No, thank you. Furs. I don't believe in that. Expensive handbags. I got a Quilt Nerd tote bag. I don't need anything fancy. But that ice maker. Oh, it's even ice cream maker. Is that what you're talking about, Eva? So vegan ice cream. Yeah, it is the small things, It is the small things. So what were you asking? Let's see. Bougie ice. Yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So I've even gone a little longer than I planned. I'm going to wrap up here. I got to go pack, make sure that I have my underwear and my makeup and this dress. And like I said, we're going to, Mary's kind of got some set pop-ups she's going to try to do, and Robin will let everybody know. As far as me, I will do my best, and I know Angelina and Druid and Eva have all offered to, drop a note and let people know. So if you can watch the Turnip of Hope on Instagram and get information if I'm going to do a pop-up. Yeah. So thank you guys. You guys are the best. Yeah. See you tonight. And, oh yes, Kenny. Kenny, will you be streaming? I know you're going. Kenny's going to TwitchCon, and I can't remember when that starts. That's coming up here. Maybe it's week after next. So, okay. Well, you guys have a wonderful time. Do you wanna raid today? Oh no, Kenny, you had to cancel. Bummer. Bummer. I was looking forward to some TwitchCon gossip. All right. Let's raid Jamie because Jamie's always. I'm gonna have to apologize. I did stick around last time, but I'm definitely gonna raid and run today. So I hope they're okay with that. All right. I'll see you guys tonight. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thanks, guys.